Welcome to Love Under Pressure, a place for honest conversations about the pressures that shape us, the love that sustains us, and the God who meets us in both. This is brand new. This is episode 1. Welcome. I've been talking about doing this for a little while now. Hi, I'm your host. My name is Annalie. I am going to have a nice, lovely backdrop eventually, and I might even have nice microphones and get some guests on here. That's all in my plan. But I also know that it's okay to just move forward even if not all the pieces of the plan are in place. And sometimes you have to do that, whether you think it's ideal or not. I didn't have to do that. The world doesn't need another podcast, but I think there's someone out there who maybe needs this. And maybe I'm wrong. But over the last couple of years, I have made my way into being on social media more, not like as a creator, but just as a consumer. I had very strict rules for myself before that I just was like, I know that it can create, if I don't have really great self-control, then it creates really bad habits. And there's lots of studies about that, and that's true. Therefore, I just avoid it altogether. I have a part-time job now where I need to be. And so I consume a lot more and have been blessed by it immensely. The different little corners of the internet that I have found myself in have blessed my life. And because I have experienced that, I hope that this little corner of the internet is going to bless someone else. I'm hoping that this is a paying it forward. I have 33 years of life experience of so many different things that fall into this category, this pressurizing that makes us become who we are. And the love for what we're doing or who we're doing it with, or someone else's love carrying us, that gets us through all that pressure. And that is what I want to be here for. I have a list created of I don't know, I guess some questions that I would like to ask my guests in the future. So I think I'm going to kind of interview my own self, sort of. So, hang on to your seats. This is going to be so exciting. I mean, it's probably not that exciting, but hopefully it's worth your time. This first question has to be reshaped and reformulated because not everything that I want to talk to guests about is something that's happening in their life currently, and most people don't like talking about what's happening currently anyway. A lot more of us do it in hindsight and looking back on a situation. So this first question is something to the idea of, what pressure have you been living under lately? I have 4 children, and my youngest turns 3 in a few months. And he was born at 27 and a half weeks gestation. It's about 6 months pregnant. I don't I'm assuming all of you know this, but pregnancies are supposed to last about 9 months, about 40 weeks, okay? Yeah, nowhere near that. Because of modern medicine, that mortality rate has gone up quite a bit, that people can survive being born that little and premature. But a lot of the time they do have complications. My son has a condition called hydrocephalus and a condition called cerebral palsy, and he's got slight vision impairment things, and he had dysphagia where he couldn't swallow safely for the first year. He had to be on thickened feeds. Otherwise, he would aspirate. Aspirate means you'd choke on anything. Like a drop of water goes into your lungs instead of down your esophagus. It goes down your windpipe. This year, he got a G-tube, a feeding tube, put into his belly. Nope, you cannot be in here right now. Go away.
Can I get some of this Hawks?
Not right now.
Why?
Go out.
Can I have something to eat?
Yes.
What?
Go have a little snack.
Okay, can I have some fishies?
Yes. Hey, I'm a mom of 4. There's probably going to be a few interruptions. I was going to be like, oh no, I have to start all over. But you know what? This is real life, so I'm not going to start all over. I also was going to be like, pick out a cute outfit and do my hair cute and put makeup on. But I don't want to set up that expectation for myself, because I don't want to hold any of you to that expectation. And does that mean I want to always show up here looking frumpy? No. And I will try to be put together. Anyway, real life. My son has a feeding tube. He has spastic diplegia cerebral palsy. Spastic. It means he's got too much tone in his muscles. So they don't relax as easily as other people's muscles do. And diplegia means that it affects the lower half of his body more than anywhere else. So he's pretty capable of like hand-eye coordination and fine motor skills. He can grab screws and he loves little things like that, but I mean, he's getting close to 3 and he uses a walker. And yesterday he set a record of walking in that thing for over half an hour, and that is significantly longer than he's ever done before. So that's kind of where his ability is. So far there's not really any signs of it affecting his cognitive abilities, but it could show up. I recognize that we are crazy, incredibly blessed. I need you to not come in right now. I need you to go out and lock my door behind you, okay? I will be out in a few minutes. Thank you. Four. I did say I had 4 kids, right? So that's only 2 interruptions. Okay. That is the pressure. That is the most obvious, significant pressure that I live every day for the last 2.5, almost 3 years. That's what I find myself living under lately. I gotta revamp that question. It's a work in progress. How has that pressure changed the way you see yourself? Well, that's why I'm starting this podcast. It changed the way I see myself because I generally have pretty low self-esteem and self-worth. I feel I struggle with feeling insignificant and a burden. It's okay. I've done therapy. My son having cerebral palsy has changed the way I see myself because I can recognize my own capabilities better than I used to be able to. And that is a really awesome gift. I started this and where I came from before this podcast. My son spent 89 days in the NICU. And once a week in the NICU, they would let the parents get together and they would provide lunch and they would have guest speakers and sometimes crafts just to mingle with other people who were kind of going through what you were going through. Because a lot of the time when you have a child in the NICU, it is all consuming. A lot of parents end up with PTSD, which personally I thought was ridiculous when I heard that. I was like, well, no, because that's for people who are like in war and horrific, I don't know, war crimes, things happening. That's what PTSD is, right? Well, it's post the traumatic stress. And it is the traumatic stress of yourself or someone near you having their life in danger of ending at any given moment. And that sums up the NICU really well, actually. I held my breath while they waited to find out if my son was coding. He was coding, but they hadn't called the code yet. I'm busy right now.
I need to ask you something.
Not yet.
What?
Not yet. So, so I went to this little lunch, and they had a mom in there who was a med tech on the unit, and she said that she loved being back in the NICU. And I went, you are certifiably insane if you lived what I am living and you chose to come back and do it more every day for money. Like that was you chose to do this. And that was my take on her. I was just like, you're crazy. You are. And I found myself slowly falling in love with the people and what they do and the way they care and the way they show up, and mostly the nurses, but more than that, there's so many different people on the care teams and child life support. Holy cow, they're incredible. They made little tiny dolls about this big for each of my 3 other children. Walk away, please. That had a intubation tube that went into the doll and different things that my son had so that they could familiarize themselves with what his normal would look like. And we would put the stickers to hold his cannula in place. We would put them on the doll, and we would take its temperature and its blood pressure and its pulse and all the things like that, like just to normalize it. And the child life support team, it's so awesome. That's also where I started therapy, because they have a team in there that just offers therapy to the parents. And I was having panic attacks, so I decided it was time to take them up on it. And then when we left the NICU, my son started physical therapy and occupational therapy and vision therapy and feeding therapy and all these different things. And watching the therapist and how much knowledge they had and how it is so specific to like this little tiny human who needs therapy to learn to lift his head up. Like, it's incredible. And fell in love with some of them. They're just incredible, incredible people. And I went, I want to be part of this somehow. I want to give back. I have a special needs, medically complex baby. I can't just up and go to school for 4 years. I don't have a degree in any of these sorts of things. I don't have a degree at all. I have done a few classes here and there, gotten little certificates of different things past high school, but I didn't ever actually go to college. Anyway, and I realized the next time he was hospitalized, he was almost a year old. It was in August. Well, he was hospitalized a month and a half after getting out of the hospital. But after that, the next time he was hospitalized, it was in August. And the therapist that I had seen from the NICU showed up at his door because he popped up in her system and she was in the hospital that day, and she was like, I'm going to stop by, and chatted with her. And I just was like, I want to do this. I want to do something. I have no idea what that looks like, but I want to help somewhere, somehow, because I have had so many people help me in incredible ways, and that's what I want to do. I don't know how to do that because taking care of him is full-time right now, but I want to do that. And there are other ways that I still want to do that. Last year, one of my best friends started an Etsy shop, and that's what I do with social media now, is her Etsy shop's social media. And that was a little bit of it, and it started, and I found so many people that I admire what they are doing through the internet, people that I have never seen face to face, and I relate to, and I comment, and they comment back, and I've had conversations with a woman that lives in England that I will never meet in real life, I'm sure, and I love seeing what she has to say, and the healing that it has brought me, and that it has opened me up to so many possibilities of how we can serve each other. I have felt at times, since having my son, I have felt trapped in my own home. Just his needs have been demanding enough over the last couple of years that I don't go out very often, and it's not that he can't, but he does catch every single cold or germ or anything ever, and he gets sick really easily, and he was on an oxygen tank for a long time, and a pulse oximeter that we hauled around with us, and lots of equipment, and he's made so much progress. He's much more medically stable now, but it still is just, I have felt trapped, and recognizing that even sitting here in my own bedroom, surrounded by a pile of laundry that I need to fold, that there are things that maybe I can give that someone will pick up and be grateful for. And that's where this podcast was born from. How's that pressure change the way you love? Well, I have stood face to face with death. I don't know if I love better, though. I think I do. I think it has taught me a little bit of how to love a little bit better and a little bit deeper. I don't know. I hope it has changed that. What has surprised you about this experience? Wow. So many things I can't even. Did you know that the surgically created opening to a body is called a stoma? I didn't know that. I had never heard of that word in my life. So they use them for G-tubes very commonly. So my son has a second belly button. It's higher, a little more to the left. And it is a hole that goes straight into his stomach. And there's the plug of a G-tube and all of the way that it works. And we'll probably talk about that sometime. But anyway, that surgically created opening to the body is called a stoma. They do it for trachs when people have a trach. They do it for like when people have like a extreme bowel obstruction situation and then they have to empty into a bag exterior of their body. That's a stoma. So that's, that was surprising that that's what it's called. It's surprising. My other kids have really surprised me. That, I mean, my little girl was not quite 3.5 when my youngest was born. So this will pretty much be all she ever remembers. She turns 6 next week, and she can explain a cannula and what it does and how an oxygen tank works, and she knows how a G-tube pump works, and she knows what braces are for, and she knows how to say cerebral palsy, and like it's just normal. It's just her everyday life. It's what she is surrounded by, and it's not scary and overwhelming for her. I'm really grateful for that. My older daughter, she turns 9 next week, and she knows how to work a G-tube and an infinity pump and put a cannula on an infant. And it's not because I leave her to just do things like this on her own, but she asks questions, and she has told me multiple times that she wants to be a therapist when she grows up because she sits in on the therapy and she learns so much from them, and she loves it. And she learns about why we have to work on certain things and how it is helping certain parts of his brain develop, and it's just incredible. And my oldest, my other son, is 10.5, and he is the kind of kid that doesn't like sports, that would rather sit and read encyclopedias. That's my son. And he could probably tell me what the G stands for of a G-tube, and it's gastro something. I don't know. But he knows so many things, and he would fight anyone who tried to pick on his little brother. And it is just, it's crazy. It is so crazy, the things that have changed, that have surprised, that have excited. I don't even. What do you know now? Oh, I already said that. This last question is kind of how I want to wrap up my podcast episodes. I think still work in progress. What pressure in your life has taught you the most about love? And I think that would be hands down the pressure that is motherhood. It is something that I always wanted to do with my life. It wasn't even a question in my mind. I wanted a great big family. My mother has birthed 12 children. My mother-in-law has birthed 11. We both came from big families. I love babies. I love the newborn stage. I know a lot of people don't. I do. I love it. Toddlers are way more overwhelming for me. But it has broken me down and built me back up in ways that I had no idea the depth was possible. I have been pressurized in the way that I grew up hearing about geology, the actual earth pressurizing coal to the extreme that it could turn into a diamond. And I've done a little bit of research and found that that's not very scientifically based, but you guys understand the concept. And if my love, my own soul, my deep thing that makes me Annalie, that makes me who I am, was this lump of coal. And God has given me this opportunity to be pressurized by the human experience. And pressurized and pressurized and pressurized in so many different little ways and really, really big ways too. What is that love turning into? And I really, really hope that when I get to the end of my days, that is the most just incredible diamond that I can just say this. Except, you know what? I don't want it to be a diamond. They are incredible and they are beautiful, but I want something more pliable than that. I want something worn in and worn out and thoroughly used and maybe a little bit stained and warm and comforting, and I want my love to be like, I don't even know, I'm kind of thinking somewhere between like a really, really nice texture heavy quilt to like something like bread dough, you know, something that has purpose and is beautiful and weird and lumpy and has served its purpose and has become everything that it possibly could. That's what I hope my love under pressure gets to be. Thank you for listening.